Mr. Simon Mzazi. You are welcome. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for accepting this invitation. I would say it was so random, even though it's coming from the idea I had a long time ago. And I've been talking with my friend Paul for some time,
Right.
you know Paulo, yeah. So one day we were talking, they said, sometimes, we speak very important things. And we think it's important to share these things to other people as well, right? And I just came to realize that I'm surrounded with very many people who have diverse backgrounds, doing a lot of great things. And I'm trying to improve my conversation, like how I make conversations, my communication skills in terms of how I express myself and how I listen to other people. So I said, okay, why don't we try something like this? So that's when the idea started. And I passed through your YouTube. I just realized you're a very good speaker. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it, I hope, at some point. And then I said, oh, yeah, this guy should be one of the guys that I'll be talking with at some point. So I'll welcome you. It's your day. I will not be speaking a lot. I'll give more time to you. So let me, first of all, ask you to take this time to introduce yourself, and then I'll say a little bit about this program. Then we can proceed from there. There is no protocol, no nothing. We just want this to be a very free conversation. So Simon, thank you for coming, and take this time to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Josephan. So it's such actually a great honor to be part of this program and being amongst the few people, the first few people. This is a great honor, and I really so much appreciate that. I look forward to basically just having these conversations and seeing how the benefit is going to be for the people that will be listening today. And thank you for stalking some of those, like the YouTubes and all that. I'm just getting started. I hope that I'll be somewhere in the next few years. So I'm Simon, and I'm currently a business consultant. And as I usually tell my friends, I do 50 things to make a living. And the reason why is just I've grown to an environment where I get to realize my skills as I grow up. And one thing, like one of my friends would say, is that I wouldn't want these skills to go to waste. So as much as I do one thing, I make sure that I commercialize as much the skills that I do have as possible. Mm-hmm. But mostly is in business consulting. And I kind of like describe myself as an expert in growth and strategy. So I have specialized in advising and guiding businesses, organizations, in the areas of growth and strategy. So we talk about businesses, organizations that are looking forward to grow up their income streams, like the revenues. They want to grow their product line. They want to grow their company operations. They are looking in for new locations. They are looking in for, so anything that pertains growth. I have specialized in that. And apart from that, I'm an entrepreneur. So I have founded ventures. I have 3 ventures. One of it is the consulting one, but the second one is an agribusiness venture. So we basically do import-export, and we are trying to enter into the food innovation system as possible. And lastly, I do have a software development company, and here we deal specifically with building in user interface softwares for fintech products. So that, as I've said, that I do 50 things to make a living. I'm hoping that someday they would be grown so well and they would be able to speak on my behalf. Right. Yeah. So that's just a summary about me.
Summary. That's a summary. Can you imagine? I'm scared now by your summary. Yeah, I think I knew a very little bit about yourself. This introduction has made me to realize a lot of things you're doing. And I'm so much impressed, of course. You have just mentioned about trying to use every skill to do something with it. And I've just remembered Ben Carson one day said that there's no such a thing as useless experience, something like that. So everything that is coming out of your way is something that can be useful in one way or another. It just depends on how you look at things and how you utilize everything that is coming around. So thank Absolutely. You for your introduction. And you are basically dealing with the business side, which is not actually what I'm doing. Of course, I'm looking forward to be doing business at some point. I'm on the other side, which we'll talk about it some other time. But I'm so much interested, like, to know about what has shaped your career. I would say, like, what came along in your background, because you mentioned about your background, how you started to realize that this is what you want to do. So I just want to know that what has influenced you to be who you are today? Like, what made you to decide that now business is my thing, business consultancy, and also you have mentioned about the ventures you have started. So you're like a serial entrepreneur, like you have more than one business you have already started. So like, are you really comfortable with where you are, and what actually had contributed for you to be in that place you are right now? Welcome.
Right. So if my career journey is like a journey from here to South Africa, at this point I am in life, I should say that I'm just packing my bags to go to the airport. That is how far I am far from my actual destinations or where I really want to reach within my career. But the most important thing is that I'm in the same journey, and that is something that I really appreciate. Well, I haven't been always this way for over the years. I had wanted to become an automotive engineer since when I was young. And, you know, when you are in standard 4, standard 5, you know, when you look at the smartest person in class says they want to be a scientist, some other people, they want to be a doctor. You're like, hey, if this is the smartest and wants to become a scientist, I better become a scientist. So there was a little bit of some shift somewhere there in the middle. We are looking with the wind where it was blowing as far as the smartest people in class were saying. But going over towards the late primary, I came back to my thing, automotive engineering, because I really loved cars from the early beginning, from my early age. I loved cars so much. And so I still wanted to become an automotive engineer. The reason why is I really wanted to make cars. And then growing up, I even knew like, okay, this is going to be a very hard thing for a context like our country, because I was like, maybe I would walk outside of the country. But I was like, okay, what about here in the country? Can't we really build cars from Tanzania and all that? So growing up towards, I took science subjects, by the way, and I had good performance even in my O level. Then I went to A level. I took PGM, that is physics, geography, and mathematics. I still wanted to become an automotive engineer, and I knew I needed physics and mathematics. But in that time, a lot came in the middle, and I started now to be thinking about this thing. If I'm an engineer, will I really be able to make cars? Because if that is not just one thing that really puts up an automobile industry, and I knew that it needed a lot of money, did researchers, and I know that to start just a plant, an automobile plant would need millions of dollars, like really millions of dollars. I'm like, even if I'm going to collect money, am I going to reach to this goal? So the thing is, like, I was like, okay, maybe I love cars, but I might need to either pioneer this movement because it's a very huge movement, but just my effort as an engineer might not really work. So how do I do this? That's how I came up with to be really in love with business, with the entrepreneurship side of things. So I was like, okay, could I really create in value at the end of the time? And then from this, I can pursue my passion, which is about cars. I really love cars so much until this day. So that's how I got to land myself in entrepreneurship. I started reading books, and I loved just the fact that I can create value, because if I love to make cars, then I may not necessarily be the person who holds the spanners and all that, but I might be a person who pioneers in this movement. So I got into business at that point. I finished school. I also had a good performance with my PGM, but after that, I went straight to a university that was teaching entrepreneurship as a bachelor level degree program. And the reason why I went specifically to this program, because I wanted to not to start my business once I finished the university. I wanted to start my business while I was still at the university. And the criteria in that program that I did is that you need to have an established business or an established company for you to be enrolled in that program, that degree program. So you go with your certificates, they do the diligence that you have the pass marks and all that. The second criteria is, do you have a company or a business that you're running? Okay, tell us about it. They assess the business, and then that's when you can enroll to the program, because part of the program allows you that the exam, instead of you taking random exams, like, okay, we're studying about marketing, or we're studying about, let's say, financials, business finances. Instead of you just doing random finances, you have to go back and do finances for your business or for another business that you're going to select. So that was something that I really loved about that program. So at all costs, I went into that program and I started it. Yes, just to summarize it, is that I found myself that I'm good at advising people. So at that point, because I've spent a lot of time working with businesses, for you to become a better entrepreneur, you really need to work with other businesses. So I worked in with different businesses, different ventures. So I grew up in a knowledge of business. And I usually say that I have dated the African startups. So I knew that I was so good at advising people around it, guiding people around it. So I entered into consulting role when I was in my second year of university. I worked with a French company. I worked in Rwanda. I worked in Mauritius. All consulting role. But now this is a very interesting part. It's not just business consulting. I started with consulting artificial intelligence. So I was an artificial intelligence consultant. And then after that, I went into health technology. So I was MedBeds consultant, where I worked with other professionals to build the medical beds technology. And then after that, I went now into business and market. So that's just a little summary about my career journey. So it hasn't been a smooth one. It has been changes, but welcoming change, I think that is what has brought me so far here. And exposure is literally the driving factor or the most influential factor of how I got here. It's just influence. I mean exposure, because otherwise I wouldn't have known what I'm doing today.
Wow, yeah, that's very impressive for sure. Exposure, very important thing. And I think when you're talking about exposure, you basically talk about the environments or even people around you.
I think it's all of them. I think it's all of them. Right? Because when you start with people, for me to know that, there are people who are actually paid for just guiding businesses, guiding individuals. There are people paid for this. There are people who told me actually about it. But as well, the environment is that I've surrounded myself in environments where I go to say like, okay, so people make an easy money with this. And I was just sharing with somebody recently, is that sometimes if you get to grow, let's say as a consultant, and this is something I've been sharing recently, is that I just need to work maybe 5 days a month for me to make what, let's say, I would have to make in for the entire month. So it came in from that environment, like, okay, somebody just goes do in a consulting project for 2 days, they will come back, and I'll be like, okay. So it comes in both from the environment and the people we surround ourselves with. Exposure is very important, and I think it's something I really so much value.
Yeah, so if I ask you, you have mentioned about money at some point, and I just want to know in a scale of one, in a scale of 1 to 10, how much money is an influence to whatever you are doing?
That's a pretty hard question, because I would say 60%. I would say 40%, and then the 60% I would put it on purpose, or finding the meaning, because a lot of these two things go in together. Because if I do not find money, then I should really find purpose, because purpose will actually pay me. Or otherwise, if I don't find purpose, it should have money. If I find both, then I think I'm lucky.
Oh, okay. Wow, I get it. So you just mentioned about PGM. So there is a story about my father who wanted to study PGM. Yeah, I'm not going to tell him that I told this story to you. But yeah, he said it was very hard. So he had to change from PGM to EGM. And that's when he became an accountant. And I'm trying to imagine like how, because PGM is, you said you had good performance, which I really respect that, because most of people, they usually say that it's because maybe if it happens, they don't do well in maybe academics, that's when they change to go to another path, But you say you maintained a good performance, but still you didn't follow that path, which is something that I really respect. And I know people have different stories, but I really appreciate that part of your story. And so doing PCB, I did PCB, PCB, physics, chemistry, biology. And all this is because I was trying to avoid mathematics. It's not like I did not like mathematics, but for sure I was like, oh, no, man, it's enough. When I did my O-level, I was like, no, this is enough. I'm trying to find a different way. So doing PGM and still maintaining a good performance is something that I really like it, and congratulations for that. But also you've mentioned so many things. You've mentioned something about creative projects and AI and all this kind of stuff, which is something that for a person who is not from pure technical I mean, like I would say technical in the sense of like programming and stuff, or from the health background, but still you can manage to do all this kind of stuff. It's something that is like very commendable. And I mean, you're doing a lot, bro. And I can't imagine how can one person do all this kind of stuff, different stuff, but still maintain this passion and energy. Like, can you give me some secret, because I need that?
I think it all boils it down to training oneself. So I'll just explain to you a little story of how this came about. I know there's one of my friends, very influential, and I used to associate, as I told you, exposure is very important. Yeah. So I had this family in a place that I went, and this family was mostly of influential people. These are rich, wealthy people. And we used to have a certain meeting on Wednesday, so it's more of like a cell gathering. So in this one, we were meeting in for like an hour and a half every Wednesday from like, I think it was 7 p.m. So on Wednesdays were days for submissions at school. So it was the busiest day of the week. And we would finish at least submissions at around 11 p.m. So one day I went to the meeting and I had missed the previous meeting. So they said, "Where have you been?" And I was like, sorry, on Wednesdays I get a little busy because it's the submission days. He laughed and then he told me, there is nothing like really being busy. It's a matter of priority. That is what really matters. So he just explained, and he kind of like laughed and just left me to think about it. Honestly, it was just a little one statement, but that one kept on ringing in my head. And it has been my principle to this day, that I have to make time for things, and I have to make sure that I get to finish them in that time, because I will not have another time to do them. So I developed a capacity for me to do a lot of things. So starting with schools. Now after that, I started to get myself involved in as many things as I can, and I had to finish them on time. So I trained myself since while I was at school to do a lot of things. So I was studying full-time degree. I was working. By then, something interesting is when I went to university, I started working as a cleaning agent. So in the evening, when the students are done with their studies, I will work with my broom and my moppers and with that uniform. So I was working with the cleaning company because I wanted to keep my life afloat at the university. And that is another interesting thing to kind of like hear how I kept on growing. Because by the time I finished university, I had like 5.5 years of working experience, like professional years of working experience by the time I'm finishing university. And that was so easy for me, because knowing that, I developed a capacity of working a lot of things, giving everything its attention when it's needed. And I think that's how I get to manage doing in a lot of things. It's just an issue of prioritizing, developing in that capacity, because our body doesn't know that we are tired. Our body does not know that I have done one thing, so I cannot do another thing right now. So, but our body can actually stretch to that capacity. And I'm not saying that I'm not resting. I have my 6 good hours every single day. But I know that out of that, the rest of the hours, if I'm working on this, that is what I'm going to be focusing on when I move to the next thing. So I get to develop a capacity of my body. That is something I've been trying, and I'm not so sure if this thing is universal, but it's something that has worked for me.
I would say it's a talent, and not everybody has it, because I just did a little research, not formal one, but I know some people who can work really hard, and some people who actually cannot do the same. So this is a funny story. When I was in high school, I tried to copy a guy who used to study like for a long time. So I tried to copy his schedule for a week. And after that, bro, I was sick. Like, I had to sleep on my bed the entire weekend because then I knew that, oh, this is not my thing. I realized from that point that it's kind of, I don't know if it's genetic or what, but it's a talent, and not everybody can do that. That's why there are very few people who can work to that capacity and can get results, and some other people we're different. We have to accept that at some point. And also, we have to understand what works better for us, right? So that's
and
what
just to add on that, to add on that, I was just asking somebody recently, how can I wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning? Because that is one thing that I can't do. I mostly do wake up maybe between 7 and 8 in the morning. So I'm like, okay, there are other people who wake up at 4 a.m. I would love to do that. So I tried that and I realized that is not my thing. I would rather sleep late than I have to wake up early in the morning. Interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. So fortunately, our time is rushing, and I don't know how comes, but we still have a lot of things to talk about. And maybe at this point, I would like to ask you about, because our title of this career dynamics talk is What Went Right. And I did this on purpose because many people, they usually say that some things went wrong. That's why they chose some path in their careers. But I just wanted to focus on the positive side, like what went right. And you've just mentioned a few things which actually positively impacted you and made you to choose the path which you are doing right now, and you are satisfied with what you are doing. So now I'm going to the other side of the question. I just wanted to know the things in one way or another that you think they acted as obstacles in your way when you are trying to decide which career path are you going to take.
I'm a young person and I'm currently entering in this advisory world, the professional services world. People tend to lean more on older generation than the young generation. So for me, that has been a challenge to prove that, yes, I do know what I'm talking about and I do have the experience for it. That has been a challenge, but I have tried to actually prove myself. Now, that is not as complete as such. It's a journey that I still need to prove that my expertise. But on the second part is that I was like, if nobody's going to give me an opportunity, I'm going to make myself an opportunity. So I want to be a consultant, being in some of these big consulting companies. But if I don't get a space here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to form my own consulting firm, per se, and do the smaller gigs. So I actually started my firm, but whenever I go to some of these bigger consulting firms, for them to actually like, okay, Simon, we can get you. It's like, okay, you're smart, you're good, you know what you're doing, but you're already in the field. This is like literally like a competition. Like, how can we hire a competition? I know you. How can we really trust that you can be trusted with what we have inside, and you really didn't want to keep this to yourself? And still, I cannot stop running in the ventures because, yes, you don't know how long these people can keep you or something like that. So that has been a big challenge, trying to juggle between the two. People trusting me because I have to give myself an opportunity, but also if you give yourself an opportunity, you become kind of like a setback, challenge, and a competitor to those that actually wants to give you an opportunity. So those were the two big challenges, things that actually were going in wrong oftentimes.
Yeah, I just had a conversation with a friend, like, nowadays many people call themselves CEO, but when you call yourself a CEO, you can get hired easily because you're becoming a competition at some point. And you just mentioned, and you just mentioned about starting your own business or your own venture. You're like making your own opportunity. I think I remember something like Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know who said that. I'll try to figure out who said that because no one could hire him, so he started his own business. So I think we should also think on that side of making our own opportunities so that we don't rely on being hired and we can make a difference. So now our time is almost, we have 10 minutes to go. I think we can finish up. So I just have a few questions. And first of all, before I go there, I just want to mention about something you said about having 5 years of experience while still in university. Something that many people don't do, especially here in Tanzania. I've seen this. I did my master's abroad, so I've seen like people over there. They start working. Some of them even after university, they start working. You go to the university, you work, and then you find yourself that you already have work experience. Not only that, but you've already created some important skills to work, and you can even be independent easily as compared to just coming from school without any experience. And we just happen right now to have so many people who they cannot do anything literally after university. They cannot do anything by themselves, and they are looking forward to get opportunities to be hired, while people who hire as well, they want work experience. So I think this is like a systemic challenge, and I'm not trying to blame anyone, but I think as young people, or the people who are going to be decision makers, we have to do something about it. And it's a very important thing to to talk about when you are talking about careers and all these kind of things. Now I have a few questions. And one question is going to be based from your video. I remember the title was Become a Person of Unquestionable Value. A very strong message. I'll try to put the link when I'm sharing my video so that other people reach out and see that video, right? I just want to ask a question, not a serious one. You mentioned that everything about cars, like all these fanciest and best cars, and you have just said that you like cars. So I just want to know, what is your favorite car, or what is your dream car?
That's very straightforward. It's called Cadillac Escalade V. So it's a Cadillac Escalade, but it's a V. Absolutely amazing.
How much is it?
It costs actually $160,000. That is pre-tax. With our Tanzanian context, if you have to do with the taxes, it's ranging from 700 million to 800 million Tanzanian shillings.
Almost twice of that.
Yes, actually twice of that. Twice.
Well, I'll be looking forward to getting a lift when you have that car.
One day, yes, brother.
funny thing is, I don't have a favorite car. I don't have a dream car. When it comes to cars, of course, I don't know so many things about cars. So I'm like, sometimes I like this, sometimes this, and life goes on. You know. Yeah. So now we have very few minutes, and I would just like to end up this session by saying that this is like a series of career talks. And I think because I feel like we still have to talk about so many things, like maybe there are some other topics and discussions we might talk about, just like, for instance, something I've mentioned about the systemic issue, whereby it happens many people don't have like this work experience when they are studying, you know, all about balancing time so that you can work and also you can have life out of it, understand all this kind of stuff. I think there are so many things we need time to talk more. Maybe we'll find some other time, but maybe let's take this opportunity for you to say anything about the social media pages. I believe you have them, and your YouTube, so that, and also your contacts in general, so that if anybody wants to reach you out, they can find it easy to reach you. And actually, give me your links so that I can share the links as well when I'm posting this video. You're welcome.
Right. Awesome. So I think I'll share with you the contacts and some of the handles for my social media, places where I get to share the knowledge. But please do on the YouTube channel. So it's more of like a think shift, and we kind of like share in contents regarding leadership and business mastery, because at the end of the time, you are born to be a leader. So there is something that the humanity needs that you do have. That alone makes you a leader in your field. So you can be in medical field, you can be in social field, you can be in any of the field, but there is something that humanity needs, and that makes you a leader. So it's just gaining mastery on leadership, how best you can become and how best you can serve the world. So I will share that with you, Josephat, and then you should be able to share with the people. Yeah, sure. But otherwise, one of the greatest things, just before I drop out, there is somebody who said this one single statement. It says, if you're not growing, then you're dying. There is no a middle ground. There's no gray scale in the middle. If you're not growing, then you're dying. Years back, people who were comfortable and they were not growing. Right now, we've got technology probably taking in some of their roles. Or right now, we do have got smarter, young, energetic generation that is taking in their roles. If they were rolling up 10 papers a day, now younger generation can do 30 papers a day. So if they are not growing, at this point, they're dead. So even in our careers, in whatever that we're doing in life, if we're not growing, then there is definitely one thing that we are dying. So always grow in whatever field that you're doing, be it in your career, be it in school. Always get yourself on that journey where you see yourself today, you have to be better than yesterday. So always think about growth, because if you're not growing, then you're not dying. I am also trying to grow every single day. Josephat is doing the same. So I think it's very paramount to always challenge yourself to be in that journey of growth, or otherwise you're dying. So thank you so much, Josephat.
When do you know that? We still have few minutes, like very few minutes. I have like few questions. When do you know that you are dying?
I think the first indicator is if you see somebody can do something you're doing better than you do. That is one indicator that you're not growing enough, when you see that you're becoming irrelevant in your workplace, or if you see even your work that is irrelevant to the workplace, that means you know that you're dying. One of my greatest mentor tells me one thing, that if you see yourself even in your workplace, you're not adding value to that place, fire yourself, because you're literally dead. You're just a ticking time bomb. So whenever we see ourselves that other people can do better than us, but also the second thing, if we see ourselves that we are irrelevant in this DNA age, those are two important indicators that we are dying.
Wow, that's very well put. I'll make sure that I listen again to that, because it's very important. And I think it's something that I'm going to use in to do a reflection about what I'm doing every day, so that I'm not going to fire myself. Do you have any regrets when it comes to career?
So I think, yes, that's very straightforward. I regret not trying some opportunities that actually came on my way. That is the biggest regret. Like, I don't know if they would have ended up good or bad, but not trying them, that is a big regret. I had opportunities to do some business ideas. I had opportunities to work in some excellent companies that would have probably, opened me up better opportunities. There are probably some networks that I have not made good use of them. I know some people I came to realize later that, that person can do 1, 2, 3, 4 things, but I misused those networks. So I so much regret those opportunities that I've not been able to exploit. I didn't know how they could have come out, but what I know for sure is that there's a lot that I've lost on the way. But of course, again, I have to keep my eye looking forward. But regardless that, I'm always conscious that mistake doesn't happen. So if an opportunity comes for me, regardless I'm going to get it or not, I will give it the best shot I can, because I do not know what this opportunity holds, and I do not really want to regret like the other ones that have actually not done them or have not taken capacity and hold of them.
Wow. Thank you so much, Simon Mzazi. It was very good. Thank you for, once again, thank you for accepting this opportunity. Thank you for your time. You have given us a lot of things, and I hope that you'll get some other time to talk. We have like 1 minute remaining. This was the first session, so I've never been a host. I'm sorry if I've never been a good host.
No, you did it so well. You did it so well, and I think we need to host something that has to do with United Nations and all that.
Okay, we'll see that. We'll see that. Thank you so much. I wish you a nice evening, and see you. I'll share this to you. I'll share this to everybody, and be sure to share it to your friends so that we can get some comments. And for everybody who is watching, please give us comments and tell us what we can do so that we can improve these kind of talks. We will have more of this coming. Thank you so much, Simon. God bless you, and see you.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful one.
Yeah, bye-bye.